You're on our special coverage of the 2017 budget expected to be read in Parliament later this morning. In Parliament, Roland Walker is there for us right here in studio. Of course, my name is Mama Vio Sobwache. We're having a conversation on expectations and we're going to be crossing over to the regions as well. We'll go to Tamale, we'll go to the Bono Ahafo region. It's been a very critical region as well, talking about people who've lost several monies and can't get them back. And then we will go to Kumasi Magazine. What are the expectations of the people there? We've been told that everything really is dependent on the budgets that will be read today. So we're all very hopeful. Let me just introduce my guests in studio. Secretary of the General Agriculture Workers Union, Mr. Edward Kariwe is here. Good morning to you, sir.
Thank you.
Also, Mr. Edu Boahim Paul is National Communication Officer with the United Traders Forum. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. So let me start off with you. Your traders, your colleagues, what do they deal in mainly?
Oh, we are dealing with the many things like clothes, foodstuffs.
Okay.
I mean many things. As you know, yeah,
so some of your members will be at Kantamanto, as in they work at
Kantamanto, Circle, Kaneshi. What I do? Yeah.
Okay, and they're in Kumasi and the other parts of the country.
When you go to
well.
Ashanti region, we have members there. We have members at Central, Western. Yeah, we are now organizing from Eastern region.
Okay.
To be precise.
Okay. All right. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Kariwe, we've talked about agriculture many times. Indeed, when the big people get up to talk, everybody acknowledges the fact that agriculture is such a big deal in our economy. But we know that the sector hasn't done really well. We haven't paid the right attention to the sector. What are your expectations with this particular budget? What do you think it can do differently?
Well, let me say good morning to you, and then good morning to the many Ghanaians who are watching this program. You have stated it right. Many have talked about agriculture being the backbone, yet not much has been done to it. Fortunately, this government has, from the onset, been talking about agriculture. When they were even in opposition, they made it a major sector. And to date, they are now a government. And again, the State of the Nation address also crystallized what they have been saying about agriculture. Now, what we expect is to see the details in the budget, because it is in the budget that you get the details, you know, step by step, you know, program to actualize the policies. Now, for instance, if we take the planning for food and jobs, we would like to know how that is going to be carried on. If you take on the one village, one dam, we would like to know within this year how many dams are going to be built, because it's a budget for 1 year, and then how many will be built subsequently, or all the dams are going to be built this year, yeah, and at what cost, and how are they going to get that money? You know, we also like to know other subsectors of the sector, the oil palm, for instance. What are they going to do about it? You look at cocoa. We are not too pleased about the performance of cocoa in recent years. What are the concrete steps? What level of injection, and what is going to be the innovation? We have been told that government, by the president at the State of the Nation address, that he's going to implement tough, prudent, and innovative, you know, policies. How tough are they going to be? We would like to see that. And how innovative are they going to be? You know, all that will be expected in the budget.
That's a lot of expectation for one budget.
Yes, because fortunately or unfortunately, it is the first budget of the government. And all that we've been talking and thinking is speculation. We try to read into their minds. The budget will indeed lay the foundation for the 4 years to know the direction, because subsequent budgets are going to be built on this year's budget. And that's why it is, we expect a lot, and all of us will be glued to our TVs and radios to make sure to listen to the finance minister. You know, we also want to know how agriculture is going to be linked with other sectors of the economy. You know, because agriculture will have a limited growth when it is not linked to industry. How is that linkage going to be done? And so all these things will be, how is finance going to be done? The services sector, how will it now be responsive to the needs of agriculture through the policy direction? We want to see that in the budget.
Okay. Let me come to you, Mr. Paul Edubuahene. What are your expectations? What are your members expecting from this budget? Are they even looking forward to it? Do they care about the budgets?
Well, yeah, why? Why not? But I think the show should have been dedicated to my senior man, because in agriculture, I think the whole Ghana will depend on agri.
Yeah.
And I think he's in the field, so you know what is in agriculture.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I appreciate him very
you,
well.
You appreciate the points that he's made there.
Seriously, yeah, because you know what he's talking about, yeah, and you know what's about. Our expectation about this budget is very big. Traders, we are expecting big this thing, because we are the ones suffering from the system, and we are the one helping the economy. But the government is not recognizing the traders. I'm talking about the petty traders. Okay, we are the economical huge masses or whatever. But when it comes to this budget and whatever, we are not being consulted. Okay, and what we know is that yes, the government has already read the budget, and this is what we are going to do. And the agriculture, my senior man is talking about, they need money to put in agriculture, and we pay that money. Yeah.
Okay. Here's another twist to the conversation.
Yeah, we pay that money.
Okay.
And the government should have recognized us that we are the economical backup. Okay. Just like petroleum system, when the petrol increases, we suffer a lot. Okay. When the dollar increases, we suffer. Even now, the dollar is about 4.6 something. Okay, what about CFA? We suffer a lot, and we pay huge taxes. Okay, so this.
But they've talked about tax cuts, at least during the campaign. So everybody's looking forward to some tax cuts in this budget. That should be something that you're looking forward to as well.
Because what we are looking for is reduction of the taxes.
Okay.
Yeah. And some of the taxes should be even removed from the system.
What kind of taxes are you talking about?
I heard Honorable Kwaku-Kwatin,
okay,
yeah, went to court for this 1 cedi added to the petrol prices. And up to now, we don't see what is that 1 cedi is doing on the petrol prices, okay? And also the dollar, now the dollar is 4.6 something. What about the CFA? We want the government to slash all these things, okay, so that the system can be utilized for the lay people like the traders. We are suffering. It's not easy. Yesterday I was in the one of falling below for the dollar, and it said 4.5 something. I said, wow. Yes.
Okay, well, because that's because the city is not doing well. So we know when the city falls, then the dollar is running.
How can the cities be well? If the cities is sick, let us send them to the hospital. And just, because no, the system is very, 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 very harsh. It's not easy. Okay, it's not easy for
I can
traders.
understand.
And also, what we are also expecting is that the government should rehabilitate the market system in Ghana. When you go to a market, it's very bad. It's very bad. I was in Takrade Market Circle. Wow. The market has a name in the whole West Africa. And if you go to see the structures of the market, you will cry for them. And the people are selling. Go to Katamatu and see. Go to just pedestrian shopping mall, just here. I'm a chairman of that market. Go there and see. You see, we are collecting money from the traders, but we are not give them the assassination for their work. Okay, so the budget allocation should be given part for the traders' rehabilitation of the markets. Yeah, otherwise, we are not going to see this budget as relevant to the traders.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our expectation is very big.
All right.
It's very big.
Is there, listening to him, is there something that you want to say?
Yeah, certainly I share with his views because they are a very important section of the economy because production cannot be complete if they are not there to link up the consumer with the producers. So they play a very vital role, intermediary role. And like he did indicate, if you go into some of these our markets, it is just left to them to construct their own structures. But those structures must not be constructed by the petty trader, must not be constructed by any trader because they will do it in their own way, but we need planning. So markets will be built properly, and then they will now go in there to do the exchange. For the taxes, when you say they are going to reduce taxes, if you're a trader, what does that mean to you? Are they cutting taxes, reducing taxes for the big
Import duties,
corporate organizations? If you reduce taxes on import duty, does that necessarily inure to the benefit of the petty trader around? We were talking about trickling down effect, but that is not the only thing we should be looking at. Trickling down effect is something that you are unable to calculate what at the end of the day it will be. It's too indirect. But the direct things that will benefit the traders, that we are not seeing. We are not seeing, and they would like to see that. And we should pay attention to that. Going into trading must be a choice, not necessarily
because there's nothing else to do.
There's nothing else to do. That's why we find many of them on the streets selling. And if you sit them down and find out at the end of the day what they earn and the cost involved, it's just nothing to write home about. So their concern is critical. We can no longer operate as usual. We want things to be systematic. We want things to be organized. And we need to pay attention to this section of our society who play this vital role, yet are left to do things on their own. And then we tend to blame them that they cause a lot of harm on the society and the environment. But if they are not properly organized, certainly it will not be, we don't expect much from them.
Yeah.
So I do agree with you.
Mr. Carrier, back to agriculture. Are we still looking at agriculture as the backbone, really? We've said that many times. Should we realistically be looking at other sectors, to rely on other than agriculture?
Well, in every country, when you look at its development stage, at a particular time you need to depend largely on agriculture. We want to industrialize. Our industrial sector is very weak now. Manufacturing is very low. If we are reviving manufacturing, then we need raw materials. And the raw materials, where will they come from? Are we going to start with agro raw materials or agro industries, or we are going to go into high-tech where we are using high-tech technology and so on? So the agriculture will provide the raw materials for industry. And that is why we have to emphasize on agriculture for now. We know that as the economy matures into the future, it will give way, agriculture will fuse with industry, but not today. Apart from that, if a large proportion of our labor force is employed in the agricultural sector, and there's huge unemployment, and if you look at the profile of skills within our labor force, JSS graduates, SS graduates, people who have not gone to school at all, You know, what type of jobs could you provide them for now? Agriculture will be able to provide that. And beyond that, we'll also be able to provide jobs for the graduates from our tertiary institutions and so on. So for now, we need to emphasize on agriculture until a stage in our development where we have gone high-tech and we now manufacture high-value goods in the country. Otherwise, if we do not do that for now, our economy will be in crisis. And as it is now, the crisis will deepen because we'll continue to import almost everything to the extent that even food that we can produce, we are now importing it. Tomatoes, Ghana used to be a major producer of tomatoes. Today we now import tomatoes from Burkina Faso. It is not a deliberate policy decision to leave the production of tomatoes to other countries to do. But it's just that we have been outcompeted. You know, we have lost the competition to Burkina Faso, and that is very dangerous. But if it is a deliberate policy that, look, we don't want to continue to produce tomatoes, and we are shifting into manufacturing, and leave that for other countries to do, then of course that would be a perfect way to go.
Sure. I'll come back to you in a bit, Mr. Edward Carrere and Eduboahim Paul, who are here with me in studio. Right now we cross over to Roland Walker, who's got the Member of Parliament for Adaklu, Mr. Kwame Agboja, with him in Parliament.
Importantly, we also have to know that this is the first of the financial statements by the finance minister appointed by President Akufo-Addo. And Ken Ofori-Atta will be on the floor of Parliament, as the regulations of Parliament also require and our laws also require, to give the first budget of the Akufo-Addo-led government. And already, if you want to synchronize what the promises of the MPP-led administration when it was campaigning or during the electioneering period were, and what they intend to do, I guess many of us could also figure out some of the areas that they are likely to touch base on. But the fact still remains that certain key indicators of the economy are still not right. We still have extreme fiscal deficit problems, especially coming out of an election era. And more importantly, there's still the subject of the huge public debt, which now we're told is to the tune of some extra 120 billion Ghana cedis. It depends on which of the currencies you want to mention the ratio in. But more importantly, if we want to improve the current state of the economy, we need to empower the sectors of agriculture, industry, because we've noticed, according to what the estimator, since 2012, or the last 4 years, we've had in the services sector providing close to about 30%, if not about 28% of the teeming jobs we have in the economy. It's a subject that we really need to deal with. But that will not go away without the many interjections and the concerns also being raised by the other side of the political divide. And the NDC minority in Parliament, their government just lost power to the MPP in the last elections. And we want to speak to a couple of them here. And appropriately, we have the Member of Parliament for Adaklu in the studio, and Kwame Agboja is an architect by profession, but now practicing also as a Member of Parliament, serving his people of Adaklu in the Volta region. Kwame, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, how are you doing?
I'm good too. And you look good, very much prepared for the budget.
Yes, yes.
Yes. And optimally, I should ask you, what will be your initial expectations from the budget, just in summary?
Yes, well, this will be in two parts. One part being that we have general expectations, and then those that NPP promised to do in this country. We all know, like you said, of course, our finances are tight. We are a country, everybody is demanding roads, schools, and other things. And I'm not an economist, so I'm going to make it at a street level for everybody to understand.
Fantastic, that's what we want.
When you talk about economics and all the big jargons, so it's somebody in Adaklu, what matters to him is that road project that was awarded last year going to be completed? Is that a water project going to be completed? Our kids going to have access to good education, healthcare, and all those things? So we are expecting the president, through the finance minister, to come to parliament to give us an understanding of how these aspirations will be fulfilled. What I'm scared about, though, is the rumor on the block that they're going to try to reduce the District Assembly Common Fund percentage that goes to them. For a person like me and my community at Akru, we are a less endowed community. We don't have enough IGF to carry out or to support the things we need to do. So we rely heavily on the District Assembly's Common Fund. Any attempt to reduce that percentage directly hits us hard and can lead to increase in poverty in my community. So I'm pleading and hoping that the finance minister is not going to come here and attempt to reduce the percentage of money that goes to the District Assembly Common Fund, which is then passed on to the District Assembly. Also, importantly, we know that certain things in the country, i.e. utility tariffs and other things, it was heartwarming when MPP said they would bring all these things down. So we are hoping that some of these things would come down, because these are taxes that affect everybody immediately, and we are looking forward to those things.
But arguably, the thrust of the conversation, especially after the MPP came into power, has been that they have inherited some of these negative indicators from the last government, i.e. for 2016, we still expect not to meet the terms of the budgetary expenditures for the last budget for 2016. And so we're likely to hit the overruns, and ultimately we still owe a chunk of debt to a number of our debtors expectedly. We still pay high interest on many of the loans that we have as a country. So it seems to be a certain hurdle for which they are advocating some respite.
Well, I'm not sure whether they would get a respite. The truth is that Ghana has never had, we have never had a situation where any government managed to maintain their budget, especially in an election year. And I give an example. I don't blame them. Everybody, including Adaklu people, wanted a development. And nobody in his community is prepared to tell a government, okay, we'll give you 4 years, don't do anything in our community, because it's been done somewhere. I quite find it difficult to understand when NPP says that they don't understand certain things we are owing and other things. I can tell you for a fact, since NPP came since January, not a single contractor has been paid. But we know on record they are intending within the first quarter, which is ending in March, to borrow over 19.5 billion Ghana cedi. What are they doing with the money? No contractor is being paid, no new projects are being started, nothing. In fact, people are being sacked from work rather, so perhaps they are paying less in terms of salary. Look, NDC inherited an economy that inflation was 18%. The cedi was relatively stable because we just changed the currency where the cedi was 1 cedi to $1, but it started rising gradually. But the NPP is inheriting an economy where, for a fact, Doomsaw was not here. It was something that took us almost a chunk of 2 years. And don't forget, for 5 months in 2016, FPSO got broken down, so no revenue came through in terms of oil revenue, no oil export and all those things. But we never resorted to sale of national assets to even pay the single spine, which they approved and left. We were able to do all these things. So it was tough time in 2016. So if these little overruns exist, but guess what, my brother? When they talk of debt, we have left a chunk of significant assets. Today, when you talk about investment we made in the energy sector alone, look at Akufo-Addo alone. Look at the 10 fields which are supposed to start producing oil, an additional 80,000 barrels of oil within the next 3 months. All will accrue to this country. The fact that the gas from Nigeria is inconsistent. Now Akufo-Addo and the 10 fields are supposed to give us more. So they've inherited a better infrastructure. So to talk about debt, they are failing to tell us. That is why some of us took issues with the president for not telling us that if you say we owe, what was the money used for? And all these things. And we're not going to allow the MPP to hide under the cloak of the so-called 7 billion unknown. Because any accountant who works with the state knows that it is just because of the introduction of the new financial management system that those 7 billion, as we are aware, were contracts that were legitimately awarded, but because of the gift mix system and other things, you can't capture them that way, because as of the day the finance minister was reading the last budget and the president was giving his last State of the Nation address, more contracts were being awarded. So I don't think...
Very well.
Yes.
At the end of the day also, what the economists will tell you that you owe a lot. So it means that you have to pay a lot more to your debtors in many respects. But also doesn't allow you to free up the space for you fiscally to be able to spend. spend appropriately.
Yeah, well, I agree. But where were these people when the president, the former president was saying all these things? Of course, it would be deceptive for the NPP to say that they didn't know that this country was owing, because when they left power, they left debt, which they knew that after the debt cancellation of almost $5 billion, they accrued extra $10 billion before they left. And indeed, from that time to today, we know the economy of this country is close to $44 billion today. So the economy has expanded indeed, which means that more ingredient, more productive things have gone into the economy. The health sector is better off than ever before. The roads are better off than ever before. But we need to do more to keep investing in this, because, like I said, my community still haven't gotten all the things we require, except the same. I will not be surprised, Ashama and other areas require more investment. So it's going to be difficult for any government to come and say that the other government left debt, so we are not going to carry out the necessary investment. That is not going to be acceptable. We were told time and again by Dr. Baumia, the money is in the country. They have better managers. So I'm surprised that they have extended the IMF program to another 1 year, when we were expecting to complete it this year. They are now going to complete it next year. Is that part of the competence? We are now being told that over 19 billion, 119.5 billion would have been borrowed. These people who kicked against borrowing would have been borrowed by the end of March. Is this part of the competence they are trying to tell us? Look, let's be real in this country. We are not, our expenditure is bigger than our income. Last year, for instance, like I told you, because of the 5-month period of the breakdown of FPSO, government couldn't get any, we couldn't export oil at all, we couldn't get any revenue. All the taxes we were supposed to get from the producers never came in. So in effect, it would have had an impact on the government budget. So you see that there's a shortfall in revenue mobilization. If NPP can generate more revenue going forward, they can be able to do the things. But it is going to be difficult for me to accept that Adaklu will get a cut in common fund, because I know what it will mean is deeper poverty in my community, and we're not expected to.
I would wish for us to be a lot more nationalistic and say, instead of NPP, you say government.
Okay, government. Oh yeah, no. Well, I mean, to say, you see, the budget is going to be presented by the finance minister. Let's face it. Yesterday we went through some ministries, and we can see in the program they said NPP manifesto would be incorporated into the policy of this thing. So it's going to be difficult to run.
But it's good that you mentioned the manifesto, because if you look through the NPP manifesto, they've itemized certain key taxes or taxable areas that they feel that your government didn't do well enough to, as it were, lessen the burden of those players within those sorts of industries. And we're talking about extreme taxes on imports, those on banking, the VAT levies, as well as real estate, etc. Government should do enough, per the announcement that we all expect the finance minister to have those reduced.
You see, when we are socialists in thinking, NPP is capitalist.
Well,
when you, social democrat, when you reduce taxes on, for instance, airline ticket, it's good, it grows the industry. But who benefits? A cream of the country do fly by air. Meaning that
only a small sectional population of it.
Exactly. So it would be better to reduce fuel in terms of petrol products, diesel, and because that one goes directly to my grandmother. But if you remove taxes on airline ticket, it is good. We can grow that industry. Indeed, NDC have done well today. We have a better aviation industry than before. But just removing tax shouldn't make the NPP feel that they've done something great, because what would affect my grandmother in Adaklu is if they're able to reduce taxes on fuel and reduce the utility tariffs that they've talked about. So, and the real estate, it's true. Majority of the people in this country and any other country will never be able to acquire a landed property before they die. It's not about Ghana. It's a worldwide understanding. But as an architect, I think it would be good to put the necessary support into the built environment so house prices and everything can come down. But don't forget, when we're talking about airline ticket going up, when the previous government reduced the aviation fuel by 20%, the airlines never passed that on to the consumer. So just by reducing taxes doesn't guarantee that you will expand that industry.
But we'll see how that goes, because at the end of the day, for those, because of the state of our economy, a lot more import dependent, they should be happy. For those who trade in spare parts, use second-hand clothing and other items that could have a reduction on port charges, etc., should be happy.
You see, there's another side of it, and the government, not NPP, the government need to look at it. We are building a critical mass of local production. You were here when we were told that for instance, the Ministry of Education is embarking on a policy where textbooks, exercise book, everything needed to be printed locally. So the last batch of government textbooks, everything are being printed by Ghanaian printers. If you go reducing taxes on certain things that we could easily produce here, what you are doing effectively is to start to kill the local industry again. I wouldn't want to see any tax reduction in people who import things like clothing and nothing, because we can do enough clothing in this country. If you reduce taxes on maybe computers and vehicle spare parts, we don't manufacture them here. So I would understand why that needed to go down. But any reduction in the import duty of like rice and food product, to me, would kill the local industry, and we should never attempt that. Those who have taste for imported goods should be able to afford it, and those who are the safety net should be able to be given the necessary support. And that is why I'm happy that when the Agric Minister says that they are going to invest about 125 million Canadian dollars in food production, I was happy. The only thing I wasn't happy about was that the previous government secured that loan and the disbursement was supposed to be next month. So he was economical about the truth. But those things can grow up agriculture, which means that this country can go. Do you know that we are producing noodles in this country today? So anybody who have a taste of noodles is not necessarily supposed to eat an imported product. We can do those things in this, and the value chain increase.
Yes, Mama V.
So I think those are the things I'm looking forward to make the economy grow. I want to see things that give assistance, give support to local production in agriculture, in clothing, and in housing, so that the local people can begin to take advantage of the situation. I want us to do more about the local content in some of the agreements we sign, whether in oil and gas and other things, so that we can build the critical mass of the Ghanaian businessman that can propel this country forward. I'm always saying that we are better off investing in agriculture than even exploring oil. Don't you realize that every year Cocoa Board alone is able to access a loan of $1.5 billion. Meanwhile, the whole year we will never get even $1 billion from the oil. All the oil is because it's just 13% that we've gotten for ourselves. But agriculture, cocoa alone gets that. You can imagine what other products.
Because talking about agriculture, we're told, and we have to wrap up in 3 minutes. Yeah. It's a sector we've been told time and time again could employ the mass of our people, even though sometimes the diversification of the end products along the value chain becomes a bit unclear when we're positing those sort of arguments. But what can we do about it? What would you expect the finance minister to announce as far as agriculture?
I can tell you, I can see good things already. On record, we are producing more poultry in this country because of the support we give to poultry farmers. We are producing more rice, though we need to do more. I'm telling you that now that we are producing things like noodles, what it means is that rice producers can get more. Pepper, and I'm told that more farmers are getting into this. So the more support we can do, targeted support to the critical areas, people who are already into this thing, pepper production and others, because today if you produce pepper, you don't have to think of selling it abroad, because I'm told companies can't even get enough to buy in this country. So, and then the support like the extension services, price of fertilizer and other things, that will be good. The farming season is just about to start. So I'm looking forward to a budget that actually focuses on this country and then try to grow indigenous businesses. Any tax that looks at the top level, take off tax of airline ticket, good, but how many people will benefit? Take off tax of, food import like rice and other things. I think it will be a misguided decision. And I hope there will not be any reduction in the quantum of money that goes to this assembly, because it will be a direct hit on less endowed assemblies like Adaku, and it will increase poverty. We'll
see how that goes, and we hope that your expectations and also the expectation of your constituents in Adaku, in the Volta region, will be met in many respects. And we've been speaking to Kwame Agboja, and Kwame Agboja, an architect by profession, is a member of parliament for Adaklu, and we would want to hear from a lot more personalities, but it's not only in Accra that we want to perhaps sort out a lot more of the opinion of the elites, but also those who have a lot more issues with the economy. We want to go to the street of Tamale, where our correspondents have been summarily trying to source some views from the ordinary people of Tamale.
He and his government did promise the people of Ghana of good governance, thereby bringing relief to the people. So considering the promises they laid before the people of Ghana, I think they will have no any excuse than to deliver. So, and we are highly optimistic about what he's coming to tell the people of Ghana. All we are expecting from them is to deliver, because they were given an overwhelming victory. They were voted massively in the 2016 elections. So all that we are expecting from them is to deliver, which some of us are very hopeful and confident that surely they will deliver.
I expect the finance minister to present the true state of the budget. As you know, President Akufo-Addo, he is a new president, and we expect him to label the true state of the budget that will satisfy the Ghanaians to the extent that his government employees will be satisfied very well. As of now, Wacha Jako, that is the energy minister, he is expecting almost $1 billion to make the energy sector to be stable. As of now, we are experiencing doomsday day in, day out. So I expect the finance minister to present it very well to the Ghanaians, as well as the free SHS, not forgetting of that one too, and the student allowance.
Budget 2017, what does it mean for you? Will it deliver what is needed, where it's needed? We're breaking down the budget this Thursday on TV, radio and online, as well as on social media. It's a new government. Where's the promise? We'll give you all the figures. Budget 2017, this Thursday, February 2, on this station.
Live on Facebook, Joy 99.7 FM, Joy News. Live Twitter update on Joy News and Joy FM. Live YouTube streaming on My Joy Online TV. Hashtag Budget 2017. Live on Facebook, Adum TV and Adum FM. Live YouTube streaming on Adum TV. Hashtag Budget 2017.
And it's a comprehensive coverage of the budget 2016. We've got an eye in Parliament. Roland Walker on standby. In studio here with me is the Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union, GAWU, Mr. Edward Kariwe, and Edu Boahem Paul is a National Communication Officer with the United Traders Forum. And we're also getting expectations from across the country. We've played to you that of Tamale will be going to the Bono Ahafu region as well. And then we'll be going to Kumasi, specifically magazine. We want to know what the expectations of the people are even from there. So we're definitely on the ground. If you want to get in touch with us, do so via Facebook as Joy News on TV. If you're watching us online, we're streaming online via My Joy Online TV. So we thank you for watching from wherever that you are. We'll be going back to Parliament in a bit, but let's continue our conversation here in studio. And we've been talking agric. We've also been talking the petty traders who also have a lot of expectations. So really, Mr. Dubois, when there's a new government in place as traders, your business is still going on, right? I mean, It's not like you need loans or anything from the government. You don't need money specifically from the government.
We need loans from the government. As of the loans, we are working with the loans. So we need loans from the government. But it is very difficult for the traders to access loans from the government. Okay, yeah. So we are working with this microfinance and those kind of banks, and their interest rate is more than the expectation. If I tell you some banks are charging interest rate 6%, 7.2%, and another bill. But when you get the government ones like Masrock, okay, the interest rate is very low for the traders to be able to work. But it is very difficult for us to get the Masrock loan.
Okay, but you understand, it's also because you are not so structured they don't know how to take the
What
money
do you
back.
mean by the structures?
If I give you the money, can I trace you? Do I know for sure? Because giving a loan,
I'm a chairman at Pedestrian Shopping Mall. I know my members, and even talking about the UTF, I know the members across the country.
Is that good guarantee?
No. How can this microfinance working with us? Are they trace us for their money?
Isn't that why they charge you so much?
That's why they are charging
interest,
us.
because the risk is very high.
So no, it's a loan. It's a clause of the argument of the loan. The risk is very high, and some of the microfinance also taking our monies away. That one, what do you say? You see, government should come down with the traders and invest in the traders. Okay. Otherwise, it will turn to a different issue altogether, because the money is going to individuals. Okay, I'm talking about the profits in their loans. If government give us loans, the money will still be with the government.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you said they cannot trace us, when you go to Kaneshi is a service market. Mokola is a service market. Pedestrian Shopping Mall, Katamanto, okay. I'm not talking about the hawkers selling in the traffic, or even those people. They are accessing loan from this microfinance and those kind of things. How can government cannot give these people's loan? It's just identify. Okay, you can identify the groups leaders and give the loans to them through the leaders.
Okay.
Okay, so when you want to retrieve your money, you go straight to the leaders and collect the money from them. The leaders will also collect the money from the members and give it back to you. But if you said you cannot trace us, you cannot do that, then what the money is doing?
Because they're looking at house numbers. They're looking at there are so many details.
We don't have house numbers, but we can be able to get the voters' ID card to vote for them without having the house numbers and those kind of stuff.
Do you tell them that?
They should. You see, the problem that we like my senior said. You see, we are importing cassava from Cote d'Ivoire, plantain from Burkina Faso. We are importing pepper from Burkina Faso.
Salmon is coming from, is it Abidjan?
Abidjan.
And we've developed a good taste for that. So now when you go on the market and you want to buy salmon, you want to ask, where is it coming from? If it is the Ghana one, no.
But formally, when you are buying orange, you say, me pe Obuasianka. Now the Obuasianka is not there, okay? Because we are not serious in our field. Okay, we are in serious importing goods from the outside country to our people, which is wrong. And is it not our ministers, our MPs are importing rice, petrol, and those kind of stuff in the country? I don't have anything to import the rice, like bags of 2,000 bags, 4,000 bags. I cannot get that money to import those rice. It's the same money, it's the same masrock. Why don't you give the masrock money to me? Last, I think about 10 years ago, I was chasing masrock. And the director told me that the masrock money is not buying the import goods. But now when you are walking around, you see taxis around, youth in driving donated by masrock. Is it manufactured in Ghana? You see, the money is there. They should make use of the money, and the money will bring a lot of money for the development of the nation.
If we had a booming agricultural sector, would the most traders leave what they're doing to go and work on farms?
We are working with the agriculture people. Like I said, we have foodstuff traders. Okay, foodstuff traders. They are bringing the goods from the farmers and those kind of stuff. So if we are not be part of them, I cannot get that food to eat. You understand me? So we are also supporting them in their work. But me being stopped what I'm doing to go to agri, unless I'll see the limelight, the highlight that, oh, if I go there, it will help me. Otherwise, I won't go. Yeah.
So what do you personally deal in?
I'm dealing with the jeans and shirts, Lacoste, and those kind of.
Okay, so these are also imports. These are clothing.
Coming
from outside.
Yeah,
How do you get them?
Yeah, coming from Togo, China, sometimes Benin. Yeah.
Okay. What happened to? We've been talking about the textile industry not growing in Ghana, and some people have said that it's it's because we've been importing so many things, including clothing.
The textiles industry, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? They are just making noise. Listen, they are paying police to go to the market and seize people's goods from the market. That I don't want to talk about these people. It's another program by itself.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because why are they?
So you're not contributing to the collapse
Go
of the textile industry.
Peru. Go to Peru and see textiles industry over there. We are joking. Textiles industry. Have you seen a white woman from Holland with clothes before? Have you been there before? Holland?
I haven't.
Okay. But we have Holland was in Ghana here. Whilst we have textiles companies here. And everybody knows that was is more profitable than what we are doing here. And the quality-wise. But I haven't seen any Holland woman putting a cloth outside there before. We do it here and send it there, just plain, and package and bring it back that is from Holland. How can you make such a teaching distance in Ghana here? We can't do it here. And if I bring my goods from maybe China or Peru or whatever, you said the pattern is your pattern, so you come to the market and seize the goods. Whilst you can sit down and do yours better for people to be more interested. And even their prices are, come on, I don't want to talk about these things.
Okay, some revelations here on the show, even as we're talking about expectations of the 2017
I don't want to talk about these people.
budget.
No.
So the point is, who do you sell to? Who comes to buy your goods?
You also come to buy my goods. Akufo-Addo and those people. These Ghanaians. You understand me? Ristoware and those
when I asked you, I wasn't expecting you to mention names.
I'm telling you, those who are coming to buy my goods. It's the same Ghanaians. You understand me?
Yes, amazing. Yes. Maybe it's a good time for us to go and find out expectations from some other region. I think we'll move to the Bono Ahafo region. Right. And then when we come back, Mr. Kyrie, we'll talk some more Greek. Very interesting. Stay with us.
Budget 2017. What does it mean for you? Will it deliver what is needed, where it's needed? We're breaking down the budget this Thursday on TV, radio, and online, as well as on social media. It's a new government. Where's the promise? Give you all the figures. Budget 2017. This Thursday, February 2, on this station.
Bien say, and I'm say, and Carbine what tears can be a man. DKM God is love for me. Yeah, it's got God is love. The Empire Bonus and Carbine, I want to say, I want to see actually, the Empire Bonus and Carbine, but tears can be a man, so you want to. Until on check God is love and answer no one for a buying yet taxpayers, no, it's can be no frontier man. On farm one, no frontier, on frontier can be mine.
Muya campaign, no Musia is Kirkham, DKM, God is love, Jasta. Yan to Abamom, no Beji is Kamai, and Intina to Abadia, a demand, yes, Serrano, the photo from a Akufo-Addo. Only yes, come and I have first Nami, my papa view, same Sikanya law, says Casemti Gene Puram Fidi, from Mubiata to the minimum. I had
any DKM, Sikahi, but it was see, Obabuay, yes, Rawa, Yami Powacha is love. Buay, Nayan Sanka, sika na serie umma na una na ye huna mane
mi dwetire mi de ya market na me de koye na minim se aja bibi papa bi be firi chiri aba enso ye no moa bi amfiri mu amma ye sika akwakam ye badwa ye nya sika ye de beto ne ma aton ama ye nya bi ama ye ma akọ school ni ade nti we dia ye srawa wo chena wo ba ye sraw boa ye se wo beka bibi afa ho ama ye nsaka ye sika.
Live on Facebook, Joy 99.7 FM, Joy News. Live Twitter update on Joy News and Joy FM. Live YouTube streaming on My Joy Online TV. Hashtag Budget 2017. Live on Facebook, Adum TV and Adum FM. Live YouTube streaming on Adum TV. Hashtag Budget 2017.
Is our coverage of the budget 2017 reading later on in Parliament. Here in studio, Roland Walker is in Parliament, and I'm here in studio with the Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union, and also a man who is with the United Traders Forum, Mr. Edu Boahem Paul. Mr. Kariwe, let's talk about some basic challenges that farmers, including ordinary farmers, face today, that they expect that there will be some relief as this budget is read today.
Well, some of the expectations may go beyond this budget. And we also need to know that the budget is not to address all expectations. But unfortunately, we are not able to draw that distinction. What type of expectations can be taken care of in the budget, and which ones cannot be taken care of in a budget? For instance, access to credit is a huge problem. And that has also, it's not only in the agricultural sector, but like Adwan just indicated. Interest rates, and then even the banks shying away from giving them credit. People will be expecting that the budget should address that. Now, the question you will ask is, how is the budget going to address that? Is it going to say that, please, I am compelling you by a policy that grants to agricultural sector at lower interest rates? Is that what is expected? Or government is going to allocate money which will be given to farmers and producers in the agricultural sector at a lower interest rate? The question again will be, where will government get that money to grant you at a lower interest rate than the prevailing market rate? These are difficult things that the budget may find it difficult to address. We are seeking that the budget is in two forms, where policies which do not necessarily involve the commitment of money will be stated, and then the actual provision of money. So the two combined makes up the budget and can influence businesses and lives and so on. We would like that government must come clear and give direction to the financial sector that I am focusing on agriculture, and these are our new guidelines, policy. A certain portfolio, loan portfolio, should be granted to the agricultural sector. Can say 1% of your loan portfolio or 2% of your loan portfolio should be given to the agricultural sector. In this case, government has not committed resources by itself, but it has given a policy directive which will lead to the provision of what? Resources to the agricultural sector. We have about 29 banks in Ghana for about 27 million people. So it is possible that every 1 million people have got a bank. Why are the banks interested in our economy? We are also told that our banks are among the most profitable in Africa. What is it in Ghana that they are trooping into this country? It may be it's a good thing, but we need to take advantage of it by saying that, well, I am attractive, that is why you are coming to me, and then raise the conditions. I want to grow my agricultural sector. For that matter, this is the policy for the agricultural sector. Minimum standard. You provide 1%, 2% of your loan portfolio to the agricultural sector. Now, by doing this, this is a policy that cuts across all the banks. It will be unfortunate, and it is indeed unfortunate, that we have over the years over-relied on few state banks to provide credit to the agricultural sector. Ghana Commercial Bank, ADB, and so on. There are other private banks like Stanbic, which is also providing assistance and so on. But that is not enough. It is their own policy decisions, the bank's own policy decisions, the private one, to go to provide to the agricultural sector or not. But we want a national policy that you cannot operate in Ghana when you have not given a certain percentage of your loan portfolio to agriculture. If you think these rules are not good enough and you cannot be profitable, you can leave and go to where you want to go to. Because we already have 29 to 30 banks in this country. This is what we expect governments to do. And by doing that, they will indirectly provide resources for the agricultural sector. And this is critical. Now, beyond that, the processing and packaging in this country is critical. Agricultural produce are bulky, they are perishable, they are laborious, So why should I, the farmer, still have the burden of transporting my goods to the market center? I should concentrate on production.
Let somebody else take care of
that. And that should not be left to the individual farmer to do so. Government must create an organized system for business to operate within the agricultural sector. For instance, you also can realize that this scale system, which our traders, unfortunately, sometimes are refusing to, must be enforced. You go to the market, you are buying foodstuffs, it's left to the woman to put her hand there and then any bowl at all, they use it. No, there must be a scale system. Beyond that, the market for agricultural produce. Where is the guarantee that if I produce 100 bags of meat, I'll get the market, and at what price? It must be predictable in advance. You must know it in advance before you can invest your money. Not to talk about the fact that if I'm going into agriculture, will I get enough water to water my crops? So, or I have to depend on the weather. And given our beliefs, anything can happen and the gods will get angry and they will not bring in the rains. These are things that government must organize and allow us to operate. So the budget will be another forum to give clear guidelines on how they want to organize agriculture. And this is what we'll be looking for. It's not only about the money. I will be particularly concerned about, beyond government's own finances, attracting resources like 125 million Canadian dollars and then providing 560 million Ghanaian cedis to finance the planting for food and jobs. What other policies are there to let the private sector, that is the services sector, financial institutions, finance agriculture? Well, it's not sustainable for government to...
You can't go borrowing all the time. People can donate to you all the time.
All the time.
Yeah, so we're talking sustainability.
Sustainability.
Even of projects that you start yourself.
Yes. So we want to see this in the budget. Otherwise, it will still be like a donation. I mean, this moment government is providing. How long can government do that? One other thing we need to look at is this. If you take planting for food and jobs, it's similar to that of the 1970s. But you see, the environment was different. Today, our economy is over-liberalized. You know, that time, the government of the day, despite the fact that it was a military government, you needed a license, a permit to import. And then quota was also given to import. Despite that, what the government at the time did was, we will not grant you permit to import A, B, C, D at this quantity unless you go on the ground to plant your own, to set up your own plantation. The oil palm industry grew out of that. Look, we are going to stop giving you a permit to import and the rest unless you begin to develop your own oil palm. Today, we would expect government to provide in their budget and other policy statements that the things that people are interested in buying, importing into this country must now be manufactured here. Must be manufactured here. So the importers, we will not allow you to import so much. We will raise the taxes up on these imports unless you take steps to manufacture them here. The automobile industry are crying that they want taxes to be taken off so that they can import more new vehicles into this country. And they are giving all manner of reasons why it is good for this economy, because we will now buy new vehicles, fuel efficiency,
a lot of second-hand
low pollution of the environment. Those are, they are not the things that build economies. That doesn't mean that Ghana is now only going to be a market. Don't we want so that one day we will be producers of vehicles? You can't succumb to such pressures. And this is what they are putting pressure on government to take off the taxes so that they can import more into the country. For some of us, we say no, governments will not bow to such pressures. Government should rather provide money to support local producers. That is where the jobs are.
So, and in wrapping up this conversation, I just want us to look at the fact that we have a lot of expectations. We don't know which way it's going to go. It means that we may be disappointed in the process after the reading of this budget. What happens, Mr. Dubois, if what you're expecting does not come true?
Let me chip in from here. He said the money is not here. We have money. The money is here.
We have money in Ghana,
Yes, we have money, yeah. Unless you deliberately don't to see what the money
So where is the money? What areas would we find the money?
You wait. If you don't have money, can we import V8 from the outside country? Once we have this tractor, which we can buy to the farmers or into the agriculture, we have cocoa is dying in our system and we are not doing anything. What you know is that importing rice and even yam recently we import from Burkina Faso and Mali. You hear. And he said the government should give the quota for the importers. Yes, I understand him, but
you have to give something to get something back.
You see, what we want to do this, what the government should do is that put the money into the system in the agriculture sector. When their foods are starting coming, then you can stop the importers. Otherwise, we'll suffer from the hunger. Because you don't have anything to eat in the system now. So if you stop them or give them the quota, we are talking about Accra, we are talking about Kumasi, we are talking about Takoradi, we are talking about Tema.
These are just the capitals you're mentioning.
Yeah. How many foods are we provide a day in which can sustain these capital cities?
He makes a very important point. But the point is, the whole idea of the quota is to force them to produce.
Force them to produce.
Yeah, so you must sacrifice something to gain something back.
That's why I said we have money. Okay, the government should put money into the agri sector. Okay, when you are starting to invest in agri sector, then you can stop these importers. Otherwise, you cannot give them even a quota. because we are not ready to harvest from our own city.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So on the question of, you know, all these expectations, if the minister doesn't say anything you want to hear. We are not going to be
disappointed, no. We are going to expect exactly what we are expecting. Yeah, really, because the interest rate must come down. You see, this dollar and then the foreign currencies issues, when you go to markets, you see that they are dragging Ghanaians out from the markets and bringing the foreigners in.
Who? Who
GIPC.
Ghana Investment Promotion Center?
Yeah. They are dragging the Ghanaians out from the markets and bringing the foreigners in.
Tell us how they are doing this.
Yeah, because we have a law for all these foreigners when they are coming to the country, okay, what they should do, where they should go. But now when you go to the markets, you see they are selling phones, they are selling jeans, they are in which the law has not permitted them to be there. And who registered them? It's not the same GRPC. And you see, very soon you see that the dollar will be jumping to the highest gradually. And when these people come to Ghana, they don't buy anything. They just sell and change the money into the dollar, because when you go to Nigeria, the dollar is upwards on the Ghana, and they always change the dollar into their country. First, when they came, they sell the phones or whatever they have and buy something
to go.
Yeah.
To go away
now
with.
They are not buying anything.
They're just changing the money and sending it away.
You see, so the GIPC must also see to it that this is uncalled for and stop registering the foreigners into petty trading.
Okay.
You understand me?
But you're saying that no matter what happens, you will not be disappointed.
Oh,
today.
yeah, because we are expecting credible budget in which will sustain the traders in agric as well.
Okay.
And
I like the fact that you have an agric interests.
oh yeah, because we have when you talk about the traders, we have about 49% of traders who are in agric sector. Yeah.
They're selling the produce from the farms.
Yeah, and even we have some members who are farmers in there.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm very interested with the agric sector. Yeah.
All right.
So we are expecting government. This is made in one.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, we are expecting them to come out with the sensitive issues in which will raise up the Ghana into a highest level.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Carrier, your final words. No, I mean, have you prepared yourself? If you don't hear what you think you should hear, how are you going to manage that?
Just like Edu what he said, I mean, I don't expect to be disappointed.
Is it that you're not hopeful?
No, well, my hope is what they've given me, and I expect them to, the budget to provide that. For instance, I expect that the budget must concentrate on agriculture, give us a direction, and provide that agriculture will become the backbone, because we need to produce the raw materials, we need to produce the food. And again, I expect in the budget that they will provide policies to take care of the market, because the risk here is that when we increase the production and we are not ready to immediately pick the produce, that will be disastrous for the producers and the business people. And the fact that they are talking about one district, one factory, one village, one dam, all are put together, and then the policy of planting for food and jobs, when you put them together, we should not have a problem. And the budget certainly will have to address
how we're going to fund those projects.
How we are going to fund those projects, and then when they are going to start, how much we should expect, targets, timelines, and so on. So I don't expect to be disappointed in it. Even if I don't understand something, I expect that an explanation will be given.
Okay.
And it should be a satisfactory one, indeed.
All right.
Yeah, so we may come back here after the budget has been read to see to what extent those expectations have been met, and how do we press moving forward. Yeah, and budget is not final because we even have supplementary budgets, and we even also have other policies that complement the budget. So I expect everything will be good.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for being here. We'll all be listening and watching today the details of what will be presented later today. And we'll certainly call on you after the presentation. I'm grateful. Paul-Addo Boahen is the National Communication Officer, United Traders Forum, and also Mr. Edward Karuwe, who is actually not new to this platform. We will come back to you. And one of the things we'll be seeking to find out, depending on how much details we've been given for the agri sector, will be, would that encourage people to want to join the sector, want to move into the sector? We'll see how that goes.